Hi there, Christoph here. Here's update number 4 for Arké. In the previous one, I had just added the basic tags and contacts feature. Now, since last Thursday, I refined a whole bunch of stuff. They added some extra functionality, and I'll just go over that. It gets a little bit complex. That's why I'm recording this one to track some of that logic. So one big thing I added is a console here. So if you just want to talk directly to Bark, like for development, it's sometimes very helpful. You can directly dig into the data and do commands that you otherwise cannot do in the UI. But the big thing really was some more additions, some additional work that I had planned, but I hadn't got around to last week for contacts. So previously I could create a contact manually and I could assign it to one transaction, and I could manually assign an address to a transaction. But that's very manual, right? So, but let's see what we can do here now. Now, as before, I can create a contact. This form's still a little bit flimsy. I added some super amazing custom standard avatars here. But the big thing here really is this import button. Because there's a good chance that the person that are sending me money or I'm sending them to already exists in my native contacts. So I'm blurring this here, of course. I don't want you to see all my contacts. So I added the Bark CLI. That's just the terminal, that I'm using as a second wallet. I already added that to my native contacts. And then when I press select here, it's just grabbing the name and the profile image. Like nothing gets, Arké doesn't have servers, it doesn't store anything, so no privacy is lost. It's just a convenience thing for you to bring an existing contact. And that, when I add it in here, that native contact is still linked to, or the local contact is still linked to the native contact. So if, let's say, I change the photo of Bark CLI in my native contacts, it also gets updated here. There's a little indicator here that's still missing that I need to add. That also allows you then to decouple this. Okay, cool. So I can manually add addresses. I collapse the details here. And then let's see what happens. So we have 3 transactions here from the same address. That is the Bark CLI. I know that because I recognize that address. So now I'm going to assign this contact, Bark CLI. Also, this looks a little bit better now. And this actually triggers a series of things. So the address is then assigned to the contact, right? And then it also found 2 other transactions that use the same address, and those other transactions don't have contacts assigned yet. So it tells me like, oh, this is going to do these other things too. Apply. Great. Now I see all 3 transactions are now assigned to this contact. And then if I look at my contact here, there are these 3 transactions that are assigned. It tells me kind of what the total sum of the send and the receive is. And I see the transaction, the address also added here, and it was added from a transaction. I can change that. Okay, now there's a little bit of info here. I put that there. I don't think it needs it. That just talks about kind of the reverse of this logic. So deleting an address does not actually unassign all these other transactions. It just removes it from this contact, and then the transaction assignments remain. It's a little bit, it should feel, some of these kind of UX decisions here, it's not the direct reverse logic of the assignment, but it's more intuitive that way. But it's something that we have to feel out, basically. Great. And now, of course, I can press this button and I can directly send here. That also looks a little bit different now. So that makes this a lot easier. And something you also notice is that previously this little arrow indicator was always an arrow. Now, if you assign a contact, then it becomes this contact profile avatar. And if I assign a tag, you can see the tag also shows up. And then if I don't have an avatar, but I assign a tag, the tag also shows up. So let's assign a couple more tags. This is also food. This one here is investment for some reason. And then I changed the tags layout here. So this is now, previously it was kind of a grid and a bar chart that looked horrendous. This is a little bit different now. It's more a vertical list where I can see all my tags. The number on the right is the total net amount, so sent plus received from all those transactions, and it's ordered by that. So I can see which tag I've received the most from at the top, then it goes down, and then all the ones with 0 transactions are at the bottom. We'll have to see if that works out, if that's useful, but the idea basically is that you can see a little bit your spending there. And I can press these 2 transactions here to go to activity and filter by those transactions. Same thing you can do here. See, I have this handy button here on the right where I can directly send, and then I can press 3 transactions here to see those. So a lot of nitty-gritty stuff. There's more work to do. There's a lot of work to do actually around all of the different address types, like how human readable, BIP353 are handled, should it support sign-on payments, Lightning addresses, Bolt 12 offers, all of this type of stuff. Of course, some of the privacy stuff is not fully thought through. Like some addresses you should not be able to reuse. So there's some detail around handling that as well. And I think that was kind of the main thing here. I cleaned up a good amount of the UI, a lot of these type of screens here that were kind of hideous. This one, tweaked that one visually a little bit. Receive, oh yeah, I moved the selector here. Previously it said which balance do you want to send to, and then this kind of picker was right smack in your face. I moved it in the top right corner, so now there's now a better default. Share your payment info. It tells you this is a payments address, this is a savings address, that's a fallback, and I can just type in an amount and I can add in a note, and those are both optional, so it's pretty straightforward. I think if you want to see the full address, you can still tap them, becomes huge and expanded. The chunks have a hover state, so if you for some reason want to compare them, it's a little bit easier that way. Or you can just copy the address, whichever kind of works for you. So that's, I don't know, I'm not sure if this is still perfect here, but it's progress, right? And then Lightning is a bit different. You need to enter an amount first before you get an invoice. And the other ones are basically the same format here. But this is the default here, where you have the on-chain address as the fallback. But a lot of that stuff is TBD. You still have your QR code, BIP21 URI, and sharing also shares the BIP21 URI. Yeah, nothing's changed in settings, X-ray, or anywhere else. It was just a lot of refinement in contacts. And like I said, all of the address type of stuff, that's a whole separate sprint that I want to do at some point. And I think privacy is a whole nother kind of a focused week that I need to get to at some point. But I think that's a pretty good improvement to contacts here. It should really help with managing your finances here. Yeah, let me know what you think. Always happy to hear feedback. Thanks.